thank you. Well, I'm glad you're all here. What a great evening, and thanks to the host that provided us this beautiful meal and invited me to come down here. It's a good night to celebrate freedom, and to you all have made it possible. Without people like you, there would not be Minnesota, there wouldn't be in America. It's easier to do that these days because people don't shoot at us so much. But many of you have served overseas and have made it possible for people to do that, and it's just really cool. Earlier we had an invitation and they said they prayed in Jesus' name. That's a sign of freedom. Don't take it for granted, and you all know that. Just remind me about that. So my name is Jim Abeler. You're okay? Okay. And I'm running for the U.S. Senate against Al Franken. I had the privilege of serving in the Minnesota House for 15 years. Started out with a guy named Dan Gorman. We were very good friends, and we got in trouble sometimes, but we tried our best to serve. He taught me a lot about this part of town, and I have a great appreciation, better than I ever did, for what he taught me about you all. Sorry Rich isn't there. He would have been an asset. Peggy's thinking about running, and just with all respect, Representative Savage has not been a valuable asset to the House. So if she decides to run, please do your best to send us somebody who could do the job. So just to encourage you about that. Anyway, so I've been married 34 years. I'm a chiropractor 32 years. Got 6 kids and 2 dogs and a cat. So why would I want to run for a job like this? Why would I want to do all that? I believe, as you believe, that Washington is broken and America is in trouble. And I want to help. And sometimes it's the hardest thing to do to decide that you're going to be the person that helps, but sometimes it's what you're supposed to do. That's how I feel about this. The troubles in Washington are going to affect us for generations, as well you know. Massive debt, corruption that's legendary, weakening of America, things like Benghazi cover-ups, the NSA scandals, the Obamacare debacle. It's just a mess. Let me just give you a quote from one of my favorite presidents, a guy named Ronald Reagan. He said, "Ours was the first revolution in the history of mankind that truly reversed the course of government. And with 3 little words, we the people. We the people tell the government what to do, it doesn't tell us. Our Constitution is a document in which we the people tell the government what it's allowed to do. We the people are free." And I just love celebrating. One other quote, and then I'll quit quoting people, but we've lost the vision of President George H.W. Bush, who said, "America is never wholly herself unless she is engaged in high moral principle." I know a lot of us agree with that. I certainly do, and that's what I build my life on. Just a little, got a show and tell. This is my granddaughter, Raina. There you go. Worked it into the top pretty good. I'm sure for New Year's Day, New Year's baby, and that. Anyway, so we were pretty excited, and it was great. It was the firstborn daughter to one of my sons, number 3 grandkid. And so why do I show off my grandkid? Well, one, for just petty personal reasons so you can see her. But the second is to remind you that we have a whole generation of Rainas. And people like you, some of you that are on longer, some of you are younger, kudos to the young Republicans who are going to take up the torch, are going to make a difference for her, or we're not. She has already lost freedoms and liberties and privacy she never even knew she had. And to me, that's tragic. There's a whole generation is at risk. And so we don't want to be run by Washington. We want to be run by people who live on Main Street, who run a farm, who are chiropractors and business people in their community, and regular teachers and like that, just people. And so somehow, the longer you're in Washington, or when you get there, you think it's the lifestyle of rich and famous. Now there's one person there who I know thinks it's that way. He got there because he's famous, and he's a guy named Al Franken. And so the kind of leader we need is one who focuses on problems, not personalities, not politics. You seek input from many sources. You take risks, and you're not afraid of the truth. They craft solutions that are prudent and actually work. And at the end, you bring people together. To me, that sounds like how you do it down here. That's how I do it in my business on a good day. And you work to find answers, and you get stuff done, and you keep our country strong. And I'm not a very negative campaigner, so as you watch me go along the next year or so, you won't hear me bashing a lot of people. But I can just tell you categorically that as I watch Al on TV, he just seems kind of bored. You know, it's not his line of work. It's a lot of work to craft these solutions. You have to dig in and get dirty. If you ever watch the football game on Friday night, you can tell who the starters are. So they're really messy. They're all, you know, if it's muddy, it's even worse. And there may be some people, I was the one who wasn't very messy, just to admit that, but you know, we had a lot of ideas how the game could have gone better, but it's easy to call the game from outside, but when you're in the middle, that's where the work happens. It's hard work, and that's what we need. So my claim to fame is that I've been active in Health and Human Services side, which is the medical assistance, healthcare, state-funded stuff, and so on. And so it seems like no Republican nationally understands how to do that. With the help of my colleagues, and I see Mike here, we were able to balance the budget in 2011 without raising taxes, part of which was by managing the human services and the entitlements in the healthcare. You didn't hear one thing in the election about what harm we did to Grandma or Tom, the fellow with disabilities, or Susie, who's got some other impairments, because we did a good job. But we reduced spending by $3.8 billion. Never been done before. And that's the kind of thing we need to have in Washington. That's what I think I can do. I would almost rather not have to do this, to tell you the truth. This is so hard. I'm 59 years old, I could coast, or I could tackle another major challenge. And so, my mom said not to brag, I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you how it is. You have to live through Obamacare now, which is just gonna be a mess. It's gonna blow up. And when it blows up, you need somebody there who can actually put the pieces back together to rescue our best healthcare system in the world. And even though you were promised by our president that you wouldn't lose your doctor, well, some of you are on Medicare, so just don't listen to this part. But so nothing much happens to you, so don't get too worried about that. But the people who aren't on Medicare, who happen to be buying your own insurance, you were promised you wouldn't have to change doctors. You may well have to, because the networks are shrinking. And I promise it's going to cost more. And it's going to disrupt the entire system. Probably some of your doctors from down here want to quit. I don't think you can afford to lose any more doctors out in this town here. You need the ones you got. So we have to get that squared away. We have to manage the entitlements and those programs. And people down here, people where I live, we have no trouble helping people who need the help. For a while, and when you get on your feet and get going, if you're disabled, we certainly understand that. Nobody wants to cause them any harm. We got to manage it like we did in Minnesota. If we could do what we did in Minnesota, it's worth $500 billion federally. $500 billion. Is that a lot? Yes. If we did some Minnesota stuff, it's worth $1 trillion. And that's what I know how to do, which is why I'm running. One thing else just to mention about that, when the governor brought out his $3 billion tax increase come last February, he didn't change one penny of the work that we passed, that I got done with my colleagues. So that was pretty amazing. So, you know, and we're Republicans, we're proud of it. People like our ideas. Personal responsibility, focused government that actually works and doesn't overreach, provides security without sacrificing our freedom, and puts the power closer to the people, and helps us achieve the American dream, which is to come here. I'm the son of immigrants. 100 years ago, 300 years ago, they came here looking for a chance to have a better way. Many of you have come earlier and later. That's what we came here to do, to quietly enjoy our time, and to pay our taxes as best we can, and hopefully they don't waste any of the money, and have services that are as narrow as they can be. You know, public safety, defense, you know, roads, education, those things that we all agree on, and some services. And that's what we need to get back. We can do it. We have the best ideas. With all respect to Representative Savage, she doesn't have the best ideas. She doesn't represent you, and she's a fine human being. But so that's what we need to sell again. Your neighbors want someone like Peggy to go there and represent her. Somebody who's regular from them, who's actually going to dig in and work. And so that's what I encourage you about. I go to these things. I'm going everywhere. I go for two reasons. One is to tell you about me and actually show off Raina. But the other thing I do is to remind you that we are still the smart ones. We have the best ideas. You're talking to your neighbors on the corner. You're talking things that we talk about all the time. Common sense, make it work, get off our back. And so, just one more Raina thing. She's what provoked me to do this. Look in those eyes. So, when my time in Washington is done, after I've been successful to get there, I want to be able to tell her, Raina, I did what I promised. I made a difference. I made your country stronger. I made your country freer. I left her in good hands. Now she is yours. Look after her well. So please join our team. I think most of you got a handout from me. JimAbeler.com is our website. If you didn't get something, I can pass those out. But we are the greatest country in the world. We have a lot of responsibility. We have a lot of blessing. So thank you for letting me come tonight. The hospitality allowed me to go early so I can go back to my meeting in Anoka yet tonight. So, but God bless you and God bless America. Thank you.